Okay, baba onwe nchole eju onwe ndị a na-anụ ibe onye omenala.
Onye ọdịnala ka mbaba onye omenala.
Kedu ihe dị iche ọdịnala na omenala?
Ọdịnala.
Yes.
Abịa na nke Igbo. Onye bụ iwu Chineke dị na Bible na akwụkwọ nsọ.
Ọdịnala.
Ọdịnala Igbo bụ nye dị na akwụkwọ nsọ.
Okay.
Etu o si edi mgbe gboo na ọ bụ nkịta ụfọdụ na-emebisie.
Yeah.
Dịka mgbe gboo na ala Igbo ozu nwa. A na-akwa ozu okwu ọnwa wee kpokọ akwa.
Nke a bụ ọdịnala.
Ọdịnala. Na akwụkwọ nsọ okwu ọnwa ka ndị Juu na-akwa ozu.
Okay, ka ha bụgoro igo ịga deep abata akwụkwọ nsọ because nkwa ndị na-egekwa anyị aha eme ihe akwụkwọ nsọ. So, then kedu ihe bụzi omenala?
Dịka m kwuru mbụ omenala bụ ikekwe etu anyị nọ ha ya adị anyị si ka anyị bido otu nke a na-akpọba klọb.
Okay.
Anyị nwere ike anyị ebido asị ka anyị dee iwu ga na-achị anyị.
Okay.
Iwu ha anyị dere ọ iwu nke ndị bụ nna anyị ha dere ji aka ha dị abụọ nke Chineke nyere ha ka a na-akpọ omenala.
Okay.
Mụ na ebe ahụ ka arụsị batara.
Okay. So now the point is just that omenala and the ordinana, they are two different things. They are not the same thing.
Okay,
like okay, like dibia na agwọ ọgwụ na aga-akpụ onye omenala ka onye ọdịnala ka onwe dibia nwere ike na-agwọ ọgwụ ka bụrụkwa onye ọdịnala bụrụkwa onye omenala.
Dibia na-arụ ọrụ dịka ọdịnala si dị ndị na-alụkarị ya bụ ndị na-arụ ọrụ ndị Chineke kpọrọ oku from birth nya nature. Ndị ọkpụkpọ oku ha bụ nature ha. O si n'afọ na-eburu ya pụta. Ọ ya na-arụ ya dịka ọdịnala siri dị. Mana nke a na-eji eme ma nsata ma ndị a na-eme na ha na-eme omenala. Ọ ha nwa bụ ndị na-arụ ọrụ and anaghị arụ ha na-arụsị na-arụkọ site n'aka.
Okay, thank you very much. All the fans are Nigerian. Now, you've heard this man. Please, I want you to tell me if he's right or wrong. In your comment section, please tell me your view, okay? Okay, this is another one. I know Ajugonga Aju before, but I'm still repeating it. Okay, now, sir, I want to eventually Jogo. I want to in before. You see that now almost everybody's in a milli. Keleka Malagas in a milli, Mani Manandoka, they against Nia Onya be him Mary, Onya Bonya Mary. Obona man in this in a Mary. That means in that okay, Bagulai it's not man in this in a Mary.
Oh, we're in that Bandakana. Hano kwa na mmiri na enu ana mana mmadụ ọbụla Chineke keleke connected with mmiri
so mmadụ ibe onye mmiri na-achị gwa na ọbụrụ ife ọjọọ
mgbe Jizọs na-agbasa ozi ọma ihe ahụ mgbe ọbụla na mmiri ka ọ na-anọ.
Okay, ọ dị good onye kpọrọ onwe ya onye ụka ije na mmiri je chụọ aja ọ je nye ndị mmiri ihe
nke ndị na-eji achụ aja na mmiri bụ mmụọ ọjọọ dịka m gwara gị na dịka esi n'ụwa a nwere ndị bụ ezigbo mmadụ nwee ndị bụ ajọ mmadụ ijekwa n'ụwa nke dị na mmiri nwee ndị bụ ezigbo mmadụ n'ime ha nwee ndị bụ ajọ mmadụ mana duto na ịbụ ndị nọ n'ụwa anyị na ha eme ka anyị na-akpọ ha ndị mmụọ mmiri ha nwa na-akpọkwa anyị mmụọ enu ana so mana ndị ahụ na-eji
okay when we talk about Igbo spirituality, the belief system of Igbo people, because of our historical dissonance that we are suffering from as Igbo people because of colonization and with so many other events that we Igbo people, we Africans basically have lost our history, we've lost our origin, and we don't even know our stories. So most of the stories and the message or the information that we get about Odinaani, about our spirituality, about our cosmology, about our history, the events that happened way past, we are getting those information not from an ancestral perspective, not from an Igbo perspective, but we're getting those information from a story somebody else on our core, a story that does not have any roots to who we are as Igbo people. And these stories are one of the reasons why generally in the Igbo we sort of have this hatred, this unspoken hatred about our ancestors, especially with the kind of life they lived. Now, here and amazing now, when you talk to somebody or when you want to communicate with somebody about who you are, what the belief system of your ancestors, you hear them trying to talk about, they will demonize them by calling them barbarians. Now, we're not saying that our ancestors were saints, because no human being is a saint. But the thing there is that the impression that we as Igbo people have about our ancestors are the extremely wrong. Now look at this elderly man coming out in a public platform to give us lessons about the difference between Odinaani and Omenaani. And at the end of the day, you will still be hearing that hint and sense of self-hatred. Onwere, ebindi nannaneno. Now, this is the problem that we Africans, we've been going through with it. And when we go back to the villages to ask them questions about our history, these people don't give us the right information. There are so many people that have gone back to the village to perform one or two traditional rites or traditional rituals, and they meet elders, and ihe a ga-agwa ha bụ efe anọ ọzọ anyị ndị be anyị emeghe efe, which is not true. And this is because we have been made to believe that the Igbo indigenous belief system is demonic and it is evil and it shouldn't be practiced. Or we also have this other group of Igbo that feels that because our ancestors did this thing in a certain way, we shouldn't do it again. I say that it has passed. But how can we say that it has passed if we cannot pass these informations to the next generation? So if I should give a better view or a broader view of the difference between Omenaani Na Odinaani, this is what I'm going to say here. Now, first of all, Kedihebu Omenaani, because these two concepts had intertwined. You cannot talk about one without the other. The both of them had intertwined, and it has nothing to do with Christianity. It has nothing to do with everything that he listed here. It has nothing to do with the Bible, because he said that Odinaani was what is in the Bible, trying to make it seem as if our ancestors were Christians, but they were not Christian. It is also the same menace that makes people to believe that Igbo, that we are the lost tribe of Israel, but in reality we are not. We don't have any correlation with Christianity, in the sense that our people are from Israel. We could say that we have a similar spiritual belief system. When we talk about circumcision, is in the Bible. I think the Jewish people, they also practice circumcision, and in our place we also practice circumcision. But that does not categorically state that our ancestors were from Israel. Now, what is the difference between Omenaani and Odinaani? Now, Omenaani is the traditional practices, cultural practices of the people. Now, this is where we now see events or activities like itimau. Kedika ndo obodo si itimau. How do these people of this community, how do they practice the festival, or how keka si itimau? What is the entertainment? Kedi odeka mau haneti. And what is the cultural significance of each of those masquerades? For instance, if you come to my community in Nnewi, you will see masquerades like Ajibusu. You will see masquerades like Adama. You will see masquerades like Ugo. You will see masquerade like Otalieli or what. Now, if you now come to places like Nsoka in Enugu, you will now see a different kinds of masquerade like Orioba. You will now see another kind of masquerade that they use when they want to do this festival of Odo. So, and you now ask, okay, what is the significance of these masquerades? And you will now see it falls under Omenaani Kandisiemeihe. How do these people, how do they practice a culture? How do they do it? How do they celebrate things? Another one here, Ikwozu. How do these people, how do they carry and bury their dead? The next one, in my community in Nnewi, as a married woman, if I die tomorrow, how they are going to bury me is that they are going to bury me in my father's house, and they're also going to bury me in my husband's house. Now, the reason because of this is back in the day, Igbo women were buried in their father's house and not in their husband's house. So what happens there, when a woman dies in her husband's house, they will take her corpse to her father's house and bury her there. But because this practice is no longer done, it is now becomes a necessity that my people from Nnewi will come to my husband's house in Nsoka and carry and do what we call Ikwozu. Now, maybe in another video, I'm going to show you what Ikwozu looks like with videos when I at home when my auntie died. I'll show you how my people practice how we bury a woman. Now, in this community in Enugu, it can't be different. They could actually have a different way of practicing this culture of Igbo's Nwada. And the next one is Ime Emume. Emume, which festivity, which activity do they do in each community, and how do they, and why do they do it? In Enugu region, in other places they have. Okay, for instance, now we've entered into the Igbo New Year. And some places have now seen rain, and to us, rain is a symbolic meaning that we've entered. Now, because of that, there are communities that have festivals, activities attached to this celebration of the New Year. So, if you know all those things falls under Omenaani. Then activities like Iriji, Inwangi. These are activities that each community does. How a people perform, how they do their things. This is what Omenaani generally is. Now, the next one is Odinaani. I even like calling it Ihe Denani or Ntonani. Now, Odinaani, Ihe Denani, Ntonani, it is just pointing towards a person's roots. Ntonana mad. Ntonana, your origin. Remember, these two concepts are intertwined. You cannot have Omenaani without having Odinaani, and you cannot have Odinaani without having Omenaani. There are similar differences, but both of them are quite intertwined. Now, Odinaani, Ihe Denani, it is the totality of our people's cultural, traditional, and spirituality, or spiritual roots and origins. Now, when they talk about spiritual origins or spiritual roots, it means how do these people interact with their spiritual deities or spiritual beings. It revolves around Odinaani. Ihe Denani ma, Ihe Denani, Ihe Dinobudu, Ihe Denani. Now, Odinaani is encompassing, in the sense that it also involves science, language, cultural identity. For instance, now, if I go to Yoruba land, how would the Yoruba person know that I'm an Igbo woman? Maybe or maybe you have any distinct mark, or let's say a Yoruba person comes down to an Igbo. How are we going to know that this Yoruba person is an Igbo woman? How do we know that this Yoruba person is a Yoruba man or a Yoruba woman? We could see with their distinctive facial marks. Ordinary. A person from an Igbo cannot go and start performing tribal marks. Although in those days we had marks that we used to basically identify ourselves and which community or village we come from. Now, if we are now asking what are those things that we classify as ordinary, we will now look at Njirimara Igbo. Kedife Jirimara Igbo. Now look at the general thing that is known within Igbo communities. The general thing that exists within Igbo communities. Now, if we're trying to focus it on the aspect of spirituality, we will now understand that if I go to Enugu, Enugu, Ebonyi, Abia, Anambra, each of these communities, they know what Chi is. They know what this concept of Chi is. They have an idea, or the broad. They know what it is. It exists in their place. So somebody from Abia State would not come and say, Ndibani ada enwe okuchi, Ndibani ada eme ifechi. It cannot be said, because every Igbo community knows or they are aware of this concept of Chi. Each of these communities also know the concept of Agwo, Alose, Ndimiri. These major concepts that we use or we interact with when we're talking about Igbo belief system or Igbo spirituality, these are the things that exist within Odinaani. Maka ozuri Igbo, njirimara Igbo ka, especially when you're talking about Ihe Denani in terms of our spirituality. Now, while all these concepts exist within every Igbo community, how we interact with them or these forces, how we interact with, how we worship them, how we sacrifice to them, are now different. This is where we now call Omenaani Na Odinaani. Now, this quote now, Omenaala Na Odinaani. Odinaani is pointing about the general concepts that exist within every Igbo community. The general concepts. Now, Omenaala, how? Kedi Otu, the process. These people in Enugu State, people in Anambra, how do they perform the rites of Enye Chinri? Now, example now is in Anambra now, we perform the rite of Isiri Chidi, and we imbue the energy, the essence of this chi within an effigy. We call it Made Dotuchi. But in communities like Enugu, they don't do it. They don't perform the rites of Idotuchi. Now, while somebody from Anambra can perform the rites of Idotuchi, somebody in Enugu cannot perform the rites of Idotuchi because this practice does not exist in their own spirituality. Omenaala Na Odinaani. Otu ndị si eme ife, otu ndị si ejekwa ife, otu ndị si agwa ife okwu. Now, this is the major difference of what Odinaani and Omenaala is. This concept, what the man explained, has nothing to do with Odinaani or Omenaala. Now, he classified Alison under Omenaala and also inferred or referred to it as an abomination. Who told us these things? Our ancestors had ways that they instituted these deities, but Alison is part of our Odinaani. Alison bu Odinaani I call, but that's why we see Agbara, Agbara. Where are they now coming from? So that's the two major difference. Now, when he now said something about, going to water, perform water rituals and how it is demonic. Yeah, he is right when we say that essence or energies or forces within those water, more miracle, but then can even call us because we are living in this physical realm. Remember, these are perspectives, these are belief systems. Now, he's right there. But when we go there to perform rituals and sacrifices, it is not a sign or an act of initiation, no. And it is not demonic. This is where I'm trying. This is what I'm trying to make. The point I was trying to make earlier, that we somehow basically destroy our own belief systems, thinking that we are doing ourselves a favor, but we are just being mentally colonized. There is nothing demonic about performing water rituals. Water rituals that we are doing, it's part of our Odinaani. It's part of our Tonani. It is part of our roots as Igbo people, as Ndi Igbo. Now, because it is part of our roots, it's part of our heritage, there is nothing demonic about it. Now, he cannot say that these things are demonic, that performing water ritual is demonic, and would now say that engaging in some, like when he mentioned the Dibia, now talking to the Dibia, Abron then Sata, that it is not demonic as well. No, because these two things are indigenous practices that are known. So he cannot remove and he cannot put. So it's either he says that Dibia is demonic and also says that Ndemiri or performing water rituals, is also demonic as well. So generally, we as Ndibo, we need to start learning about our cosmology, about our identity by ourselves and how our ancestors understood and saw these things. But if we stop, the day we stop seeing things from an ancestral perspective, from an Igbo perspective, we will begin to see things from an Oyibo perspective. And when we see this from an Oyibo perspective, we are not Oyibo. You get, we're not Oyibo, or we try to see this from a Christian perspective. We cannot. For us to understand the practices of our ancestors, we need to understand it from the rudimentary perspective of how our ancestors practiced, interacted, communicated, and basically how they used those things to take care of themselves and better their life in essence. And until next time, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe. And until next time, Yagazia.